Well, it's good to be back. Good to see you. Good to be seen. A little bit hot on that microphone there. Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Easy verses. You probably know them by heart. You've probably heard them hundreds of times in your Christian life. But Matthew chapter 7, verse 7 and 8. Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that asketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Encouraging words from the Lord about how God promises to hear our heart's prayer and to bless us as we seek his best for our lives. And as has been mentioned several times this morning, we are in the Christmas season. I don't really have a Christmas message just yet, sort of. But I want to kind of start off in that vein a little bit and ask you a question that we tend to ask this time of year. And that question is, what do you want for Christmas? Maybe someone asks it of you, or you ask it of someone else. You know, it's a little challenging to do Christmas shopping these days. Everybody already has everything, don't they? So you're kind of knocking yourself out to try to find just the right thing. And you know, we all just kind of go to the default today, don't we? We just go to the gift cards, because it just makes it easier, doesn't it? It's just a matter of picking out the right gift card, whether it's a cash gift card or a Cracker Barrel gift card or whatever, a McDonald's, whatever it might be. Makes it a lot easier, but it's not quite as special as it kind of used to be when we would get gifts and wonder what we were going to get. Now we can just kind of expect a gift card or two, and that's great. That's fine. At least the person cared enough to give that. And so it's fine. Now, children, if you ask them, what do you want for Christmas? Now, they're very specific, aren't they? I mean, they've been thinking about it for months. And they've got a list. If you ask a child, what do you want for Christmas? I can remember asking my son and daughter years ago when they were small. They would just kind of produce a list. And it was a long one. I was like looking in the bank account saying, how much of that can I actually afford this year, you know? For my son, it was all something to do with GameCube, Nintendo, you know, all of these video games. For my daughter, it was whatever thing she was into that particular year, like dolls and certain types of clothes for dolls and princesses and something pink and all of these kind of things. But she always knew specifically, and that made it easy. All I had to do was get the list and go get it, you know, and pay for it. My dad was the easiest person in the world to shop for because we all got him the same thing every single year. You know, my dad only wore one kind of aftershave, Old Spice. So every year we'd buy him some Old Spice. He never had to buy Old Spice because all of us would get it for him. And he would have bottles and bottles of it. And he loved sweatshirts, so we'd get him sweatshirts. I still have several of his sweatshirts. Wear a couple of them around the house pretty much every day, especially this time of year, just to remind me of him. But he liked sweatshirts and, of course, socks. I mean, that's what we would get him. Old Spice, sweatshirts, and socks. So you might ask that question to someone, or someone may ask it to you. What do you want for Christmas? Maybe you'll have an answer to that. But let's narrow that question down just a little bit. What do you want? Period. Or question mark. What do you want for your life right now, today? If you were to really just kind of ponder that, the answers could be kind of trite because we all kind of want the same things if you really think about it. And for example, if you ask me, what do you want, Tony? One of the first things that's going to come to my mind is something to do with my children. I want Daniel and Kara to be safe in this crazy world. I want Daniel and Kara to be successful in whatever they strive to do as young adults, in their careers, in their burgeoning careers. I want them to enjoy success. That's what we want for our children and grandchildren, isn't it? Our nieces, our nephews, whoever. That's what we want for young people today. Safety and success. And I also want, and I know that you'll say this one along with me, we want good health. We want to make sure that we sustain a measure of health as long as we can. Because we want to be able to get up with energy and take on the day. And Ray came in a while ago and said, I'm getting my energy back. I'm back to my old self. That's good to hear. Because that's what we all want. Nothing worse than having no energy and laying around just like you're about to wonder if Jesus is about to call you home, And, I go to the doctor like you do once a year to get my blood work. And, you go get that blood work, and 3 days later they call you in and say, okay, let's go over the numbers. And, for me, those numbers are typically always about the same. They tell me, well, your cholesterol numbers are too high. Your blood kind of is on the border right there of the sugar content, a little bit right there on the edge. And then the number I'm interested in the most, though, is my PSA number. For a man, that's an important number. And usually a normal PSA number is between 2 and 4 for a man. And the last time I went, just a couple of months ago, my PSA number was nuclear high, dangerously high. It got my attention. And the doc said, I'm going to set an appointment for you to go see the urologist. I said, not just yet. I'm going to research this thing. I'm going to look into it. And I started watching YouTube videos and reading blog posts and all this. And what I discovered is that the way, this is going to surprise you, but the way to really get the advantage over high PSA numbers for a man, prostate numbers, is to eat a lot of vegetables, which I hate. As a matter of fact, all of these blog posts and all of these YouTube videos were telling me, you got to stop eating all the things that you love, Tony. Everything that you love, you got to quit eating. I'm talking about the hamburgers and the pizzas and the ice cream and the candy and all the stuff the potato chips. I mean, all the things that have sustained me for 62 years. All of a sudden, they're just like, no more. You got to eat vegetables. How can I eat something that I hate so much? And I've told you before, I drink my vegetables. I've got this powder called Bio Basics, which is nothing but cold processed vegetables and fruits, and I scoop it into a shaker cup every day with some protein powder and suck that down. But I wanted to put that on steroids, so what I did, stuck away somewhere in our kitchen, was this gadget that, you remember, if you're over 50, you remember this guy. Do you remember Jack LaLanne? The exercise guy from the 60s, wore that weird all-black outfit from top to bottom, jumpsuit, whatever it was. And in the 60s and 70s, he was on TV teaching us how to exercise. Well, he had this gadget called the Power Juicer. Maybe you've seen one of those. It's just something that you throw vegetables in, and it just juices, the juice comes out. And, of course, just the thought of it is nauseating to me. But I discovered that as I put that spinach in there and that squash and that broccoli and those carrots and that celery, all that stuff that I'm just shoving in there, if I throw a lemon in there and an apple and some grapes, and get this big glass of nutritious stuff, I can drink that. I can drink it if I put the lemons in there and the apples and the grapes. So for the last 3 weeks, man, I've been juicing like crazy. And I've been drinking my Bio Basics, and I've been avoiding the hamburgers and the pizza. Man, I so badly want to go to McDonald's right now, I can't stand it. But I haven't eaten any red meat. It's just turkey and all the stuff that's just kind of But I'm bound and determined to try a natural approach. And I'm taking the medicine they told me to take as well, so I'm a good boy. But I'm going to go back in February and we'll see where the numbers are. But I'm going to juice and exercise because I want good health. You want good health. And what do you want? We also want comfort in our finances, don't we? We all want to be to some degree, financially stable or secure. We don't have to be the wealthiest of the wealthy, but we want to make sure that there's money in the bank to be able to buy the stuff that we need to sustain life. That's something that we want. Now let me change it a little bit further. Not just what do you want for Christmas or what do you want for yourself, but what do we want as a church? That's an easy question to answer, isn't it? We want more folks, don't we? We want to bring more people in. And we want to bring them in for the right reasons, don't we? We want to bring them in because they've heard the message of the gospel and they want to worship Jesus with us. We want to increase ministries. We want to do more than just worship. We want to expand our ministerial horizons. Don't we want that? That's all things that we want as a church. And what I have discovered that there is a secret. There is a real secret to getting what you want. There's a secret to getting what we want as a church. And that secret comes down to one word. And that word is persistence. Or its sister word, consistency. Doing something persistently, consistently, without stopping, without giving up. So if I want to win the battle over this PSA number, I've got to be persistent in juicing and eating the things that I don't want to eat and all that kind of thing. I'm losing weight. I mean, my pants are falling off. We can credit Jack LaLanne for that. But if I quit, nothing good can come from it. If we quit, nothing good comes from it. Being persistent, being consistent is the secret to being successful in whatever we want to accomplish. And so we as a church are going to have to get consistent and persistent in doing certain things. And we're going to learn more about that in the days ahead. But you know that consistency and persistence is true. I mean, let me give you a couple examples. And I am going to get to Matthew 7, I promise. But think about it with me for a minute. Who's going to be the better golfer? The guy that goes out to the driving range every day and hits 500 golf balls. With every club in his bag, he's just smacking golf every single day he's out there. Or the guy that plays every other weekend once or twice a year, you know. Which one of those guys is going to... Well, we know that the golfer that is consistently hitting golf balls. Who's going to be the better pianist? Who's going to play piano better? The little girl that comes home after school and practices for an hour and a half every single day, or the little boy who practices on Monday afternoon for 30 minutes only because his mother makes him? Who's going to be the better pianist? Well, we both know that the consistency of the little girl is going to produce a better pianist. We know that. Who's going to be closer to God? The Christian who makes the determination to pray every day, to read their Bible, at least a verse or two every day. Or the Christian who occasionally throws up a prayer, occasionally reads a verse. Who's going to be closer to God? It's going to be the Christian that consistently and persistently prays and reads, right? That's the secret. We know that. So when we come to this verse here, so common to us. We know it so well. Ask and it will be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened unto you. We know that. We've heard that. We've heard that so many times. But there is a key to understanding that verse. In the language of the New Testament, in the Greek, the original writer didn't just say, ask and it will be given to you, and seek and you will find, and knock. That's not what he said. He said, keep on asking. As a matter of fact, some versions of the Bible actually translate it that way, and that's the accurate translation. Keep on persistently asking God for what you want. Keep on seeking and keep on knocking. See, too often we just pray once about something and leave it at that. We kind of think to ourselves, well, I don't want to nag God about it. But God actually says it's it's actually part of faith to nag me about it, to keep on. I'm the one that told you to do it. Ask me, ask me, ask me, ask me, ask me. And I'll give you what you're looking for, as long as it's in line with my will for your life. And there's a key to understanding this verse. And that is to be expecting God to be God when you read this verse. This key of expectancy. You persistently pray and you consistently expect God to do what God said he was going to do, instead of saying, I wonder if God's actually going to do that. Actually expecting God to do it. Ask, and it might be given to you. It shall be. It will be. If Charlie says, Tony, I will be at lunch with you Wednesday at noon, I'm going to go to that lunch and look at my watch at 12 o'clock and be expecting to see him walk through the door. When we say I will, we will. And when God says that he will, he will. And so there's this expectancy that we have of God. Ask with faith and belief that God can answer it. God has the capacity to do that which you're asking for. So when I pray and I ask God, I say, God, help me be the best dad I can be to my son Daniel, who struggles with certain things sometimes. Lord, give me the faith to trust you in every circumstance of my life, whether it has to do with my business, my finances, my relationships, whatever it be. I ask God to reveal those things to me and to be God in those things, and I know that God will come through and he'll help me be all those things that I want to be. Because I expect God to be true to his word. I expect God to be God, consistent. And then it says, seek, and you might find? No, it says, seek and you will find. Well, what do we seek as Christians? First and foremost, we want to seek the will of God, the purpose of God, not only for our lives personally, but for our church. And we want to keep on seeking and asking God to reveal his plan for us. I've got a good friend, Brent. He's the one that's going to come and talk to us about some ministry ideas that we can do as a small church. And he's been going through a lot in recent days, And he and I talk fairly regularly, almost every day. And he was telling me, man, Tony, God is just pouring himself all over me right now. And I said, well, how do you explain that? He said, because I've been seeking his will. There was a time when he kind of went on a little journey where he wasn't as close to God and kind of went after some things that he wanted to do. We all have that tendency. But he turned around and said, God, when I try things on my own, I'm not at my best. When I trust you in every detail, you're at your best. And he just calls me up to tell me yet again how God has once again revealed his plan and his will and his purpose for him, because he seeks God with all of his heart, and he expects God to be God. And you and I can do that very same thing. We can look for God's will, and we can seek God's heart. I rarely lose my keys, but I do. I really don't lose them. I just sort of can't remember where I put them. You ever had that experience? And what happens is when I put my keys somewhere, it's like, why would I put it in a place that I absolutely can't find it? I mean, why would I do that? Because I go to the normal places that I might put them. But every so often, just not even making a mental note of it, I'll put them somewhere, and it's out of mind. So when I go to find them, they're not there. And what do you do when you lose your keys? Do you just sit back and say, oh, well, nothing I can do about that? No, you keep on seeking. As a matter of fact, you call people. Come over and help me. Do whatever. You have to do whatever you got to do to find them keys. You seek and you seek and you seek and you seek until you find it. And that's what you do with God's heart and God's will. I don't know what God wants me to do, then keep on seeking. I don't know if he wants me to do this, then keep on seeking. I don't know if he wants me to go in that direction, then keep on seeking. Keep on. It doesn't say he shall open it or he shall give it to you today. Seek and you will find it. You might find it today, you might find it tomorrow, you might find it next month, but you will find it. But the key is expecting God to be God and promising to be the God that he promises to be. And then there's this last one, knock. Keep on knocking and it will be opened. So you're asking, you're seeking, and then you knock. You knock on the door of God's heart. And you just say, God, will you open yourself up to me? Man, that's a great prayer. You know, the psalmist said, search me, O God, and know me. Man, isn't that awkward sometimes? And God searches you and knows you. You're like, I got some things to confess, don't I? I've got some sins to repent of. But God says, knock on my heart's door. Lord, let me know as much about you as I can. Will you open yourself up so that I can know you as well as I can? Man, what an awesome thing to pray for. Lord, show me everything about yourself that I can handle. You know, I'm convinced that when we get to heaven, when we step into heaven and we see God in all of his glory, that Shekinah glory and all that thing, we're going to say, wow, now I know why God didn't show more of himself when I was alive on the earth. Because if he did, we wouldn't be able to handle it. People have said to me, well, if there's a God, why doesn't he just show himself? I said, because you would not be able to handle it. There's a reason the Bible said no one has ever seen God and lived. You can't handle it. God has revealed enough of himself in this lifetime that we can handle it. That's all. But there's so much more to him. So I pray, Lord, open yourself up to me so that I can know what I can handle about you. See, if God says, if you'll knock and it will be open, then let's knock. Let's ask. God, can you show me how I can be everything you want me to be? God, can I ask you to bless me today? As Jabez prayed, expand my territory, expand my blessings. Bless me even more. Can't you expect God to do that? Can't you seek God's will? Can't you seek God's heart? And can't you knock on the door of God's heart and say, God, show me everything that I can handle about you? And can't we as a church pray and say, Lord, show us the way to win more souls, get more folks in these doors, and have more people watching on YouTube or Facebook. Can't we ask God to do that and expect that he'll do it in his time and his way? Ask and it will be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open unto you. That's good stuff.